Hello everyone and welcome. It is me, Jaylene, also known as Femme. So just like the last video that we did with female-female male threesomes, I brought on my friend Alex from Switch Kitchen. He does a porn production company here in Vancouver. You can go see his intro in the other video, but we're going to be talking about double the male identified trouble, the horn trouble, is male, female threesomes and how to navigate them. So one thing we kind of wanted to do is kind of go in the chronological order. So basically, what's the first step?
Yeah, so definitely go back and watch the video before this and talking about comfort levels and consent and communication. That's all very important to lead up to this point. Let's say you're a couple and you want to have a guy-girl threesome. The first hurdle is bringing it up with your boyfriend or your husband. I find the male ego is so fragile. I remember back when I was 19, it was fragile.
Yeah.
And like a girl bringing up the idea of her being with another guy destroyed me.
Yeah.
Because what's wrong with me? I'm gonna lose her. All of these insecurities. Because, I mean, unfortunately, once again, something that needs to change, you know, that upbringing that we had, this Judeo-Christian sort of perspective that females are property, which they are not, but that a guy loses the girl to another guy. And that's what creates this insecurity within them. And that's the first hurdle that you have to get over. And it may take up to 3 times of you guys going through this threesome process or trying to attempt it before he comes around and sees that you're not going anywhere, that he's not challenged as the male. When I was going through the process of developing, you know, and personal growth and personal, you know, looking at myself in these insecurities, I looked at the men that were so confident that they're able to share their wives, their girlfriends, knowing full well that their relationship is totally stable and that girl absolutely loves them to bits. I looked at them and I said, that is a boss. So what you're gonna do next to help overcome that is you are going to hand the phone or whatever you're watching this video on to your boyfriend, and he's going to listen to this next part. Dudes, your girlfriend wants another guy. This is not a bad thing. Trust me, you're going to enjoy this. Here's my thing, is a lot of culturally, we think that female, male threesome is all about the guy. But as we established in the last video, it's not. It's like this, you know, give and take. But I can say, in my opinion, when it comes to male threesomes, it is about the guys. It is about the guy's pleasure. We think it's about the girl, but I haven't met a single girl that said, like, after, she usually goes, oh my god, that was a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, and like it's fun work. I'm not gonna lie. Like I've had male, female threesomes before, and it's the best. But also you have to realize that a lot of attention is coming upon you. You have a little bit more things to do and maneuver with. So kind of thinking of it like that. Not objectifying the woman in any sort of manner, but she does have a lot more things to access that, you know, the male identified people don't.
So now you're at the point where you want to find another guy. Just like I said before the previous video, start with digital and social media.
Sure.
So whether it's Tinder and you swap your, you know, profile, so you're looking for men and then very blatantly looking for bisexual men or looking for man for this thing.
Straight to the point.
Straight to the point. Let's say you are once again put in a position where you have to, like, almost like cold calling, go out and find it.
Searching.
I'm gonna be just very honest with you. When it comes to male, female threesomes, it's very difficult. Here's the first hurdle. It's actually a lot trickier. It's like hard and easy at the same time. And this is because of society, the heteronormative society, and how male bisexuality is not as open and in culture. It's getting there, and it needs to, but it's just not there yet. So this actually makes this process, I find, a lot more difficult.
Yeah, because either a lot of, you know, male identified people, they feel pressured into either being just gay or straight a lot more than femmes who have a little bit more flow aspect in terms of wanting to explore that side of themselves. So
if you're worried about dick size with the person you're sharing with, that's something. I remember one of my first threesomes, the guy's dick was huge, right? And I was just sort of like, what? How did I not see this coming?
Like, wait a minute here.
You know, but we have to get over those, that it's not about the genitals, it's about the human, right? And these are 3 humans connecting with each other.
The mindset is the most important. It's not who has a bigger dick. I even wanted to talk about, you know, how to taking care of the femme does a lot of work in this kind of conundrum of to two male identified people and a femme. So making sure that their safety is super important. I think there's an extra factor here in terms of being the male identified people, consistently checking in with the femme to make sure they're okay.
I agree with that.
A lot of people, I even hear the terms, and if it's consensually done, totally cool, but the idea of like spit roasting the femme, things like that, those terms can obviously really kind of turn that person into feeling very objectified and being just there for the male pleasure, which is like, yes, we're focusing all the pleasure, perhaps both males are getting the pleasure through the femme vessel and kind of the way that we see it like that, but they're not the entity of.
I'm very glad you brought this up because I think in pornography, especially when producing, this is something I'm moving away from,
for sure,
is the degradation.
Yeah.
Just because it's two dudes on a girl, it does not mean the girl gets automatically degraded.
They're queen.
They are queen.
They're queen. They're holding all this space of pleasure for you.
Yes.
So really respect that.
Respecting that.
Yeah.
And yes, the pleasure might be you, and you're the focus in that.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's that also like, oh, I'm a dominant alpha male. I'm gonna pound harder. No. And she's like the vessel or the conduit between them that is helping, you know, with that pleasure process. So dudes, if you're listening to this, is you're gonna have to learn to share. And we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
2-on-1.
2-on-1 come.
Yeah. Two help one come.
2 help 1 come.
There it is.
Yes. We're still making the bumper stickers, don't you worry. They're still coming to you. So in terms of taking away that alpha male energy, we kind of basically covered that, but how do we do, you know, the cucking aspect of things, approaching that sort of idea? Because some male-identified people really find it really hot watching, you know, we see the hot wife porn category really popular, and so how do we kind of navigate that while really keeping in mind that like simultaneous male energy and keeping that.
Few things we have to break down before we get to cuckolding.
Yeah.
And the first thing that we have to understand is the physical reaction males have. It's a thing called sperm competition.
Yeah.
So there's a theory about sperm competition. I very much am a believer in it. In that when a male observes a female having sex, he is actually more turned on because he wants to get his sperm in there to compete against the other one. Mm-hmm. And so in threesomes, I say harness this energy because that's actually why I like male, female threesomes the most, is because I definitely feel this extra rush of endorphins, of adrenaline, of testosterone, because I want to get in there and, get my sperm ahead of his sperm. And so boyfriends that are considering a male, female, do it. You are going to find the biggest, hardest rush, the hardest come.
It's a bit like sports, you know, being on the field.
So now there's also something chemistry brain-wise happening there as well. So let's say you're watching someone eat a pizza, is you can almost taste it. You visually see it, you hear it, your sensors are taking in that, and you are almost experiencing it with that person.
Yeah.
So where this applies to threesome and cuckolding is you have the cuck who's visually watching his wife be pleasured or girlfriend be pleasured. And they are actually getting all of this stimulation, almost like they're living through that person, and they're getting the same chemical release as if they were that person.
I also think it's super cool too in terms of like being able to watch that partner that you adore and love being fucked from a different angle. Like you don't really get to see that every single day, so taking that opportunity to put it in your little memory bank for later.
Totally true.
Yeah.
And I always say like everyone has different moves, and I love sharing my female partners with other guys because I can see what kind of moves they got. I steal their moves. It's educational. It's first-hand education. So back to cuckolding.
Yeah.
A lot of people think it's the female, the bull that have the power, but just like any BDSM relationship or kink context, the submissive has the power.
Yeah,
right?
Super true.
So in this scenario, it's truly the cuck, I believe, that has the power. Through porn, especially, we go, oh my gosh, he's just a weak, sniveling person that's not in control, but actually he's the most powerful person in the room because they're allowing it to happen.
Super true. And I like to think even, we're talking a lot about, the couple aspect and cucking and having like that sort of dynamic happen. But when it's two male-identified people and a femme, I always like to think that the femme is always in control in that situation. So if it's two single males, male penis owners, and then there's one femme, she's the one who actually really knows, how to really orchestrate it for her, because she is going to be, like we said, she's going to be the one probably working the hardest, so how to make that the most comfortable and most enjoyable for her in that process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Positions.
let's do it, because this is probably the hardest one that I think a lot of people ask.
Yeah, so...
Two sticks, what to do with them?
What to do with them? Let's start off with the bi, like we started with our last video.
Let's start with the bi.
Yeah. Or at least I'll say hetero-flexible, because once again, in culture, we're not quite at the point where guys are like, oh yeah, I'm bi.
Yeah.
You know, they're hetero-flexible.
Hetero-flexible.
Yeah.
I did use that word before when I was younger.
Some of the things that moves I would say are really successful would be duolingus, which is both guys eating a girl out, and their tongues are kind of like touching each other, which helps break that barrier down.
Yeah.
Another one would be dual fingering, both taking turns kissing the girl, you know, really massaging her entire body, her reaching down and doing both hand jobs. That's something that is very good to start the program.
Hands are good tools, friends, during these times.
They are. I also think doing a double, it's called a double barrel blowjob. Have both guys kind of sit scissoring, and then both their penises are like, you know, like this, and then scissoring, and then both penises are like this, and then you can go back and forth, or you can put both penises both in your mouth at the same time. It's a double barrel blowjob. Another blowjob you can do is called sword fighting. So it's when both penises are kind of like you're both standing and the girl's on the floor or on the bed, and they're just kind of like rubbing against each other, but the girl's kind of like going back and forth between. It's called sword fighting.
Sweet.
Now, if you're more adventurous, it's actually quite easy to do double vaginal, which is one of my all-time faves, and pretty much you just have the girl doing cowgirl. And then the guy comes in and does doggy and slips it on top, and so you have the two penises rubbing against each other inside the vagina. It's easier, for some reason I find it's easier to stretch that way, the vagina that way, just to stack them that way.
Yeah.
If you're trying to stack them sideways or doing like a standing position or a dual pile driver, don't.
It can be a lot. Make sure the femme is very warmed up down there though, because that's a lot of stretching to have happen, so it needs good warm up vaginally.
As far as leg positioning, is the guy who's on bottom, you know, with the girl sitting on top, his legs are as tight together as possible, which helps with prostate stimulation as well. And then you have the guy with a wide stance coming in from the doggy to help in there.
And the femme's legs are just in the middle there.
Yeah, there's
nice
kind
little
of
sandwich.
Like, as we said before, there's classic things like spit roasting, Eiffel Tower, all those different things that you guys can do. I think this is the reason I really like guy-girl threesomes, is because I really have a bonding moment with the guy, as well as the intimacy I usually have with one of my partners that I'm sharing the guy with. And so I feel like I just relax more, whereas with two girls I'm always on the edge, like who am I going to pleasure next? I gotta
performance anxiety.
Straight positions.
Yeah, let's hear it.
More difficult for some reason, but like balls bouncing against each other just seems to be something that guys are like, no, I can't do that. I don't know if it's like two squishy sacks like just flashing is the visual imagery that guys think of, but that's like a big no-no. I don't know why, but it just is. So similar to the video that we did last time, breaking down the person into anatomy, is you take a look at the person in between, and you look at, they have a mouth, they have hands, they have, you know, in this case a pussy and an anus. Is you look at that person and you start to focus on just one section at a time. Let's say you're both on either side of her, well then you're each both in her hands. So there's always some distance between each other. There's proximity, but at the same point, enough distance that you feel comfortable. We often in porn think it's so hot when girls, you know, exchange fluids. But guys need to think of things the same way. Cum is cum, it's just a fluid. And if you get some on you, don't freak out. It's gonna kill the vibe. It's called friendly fire. If there's friendly fire, it happens. Don't throw wipes at the girl in between like the exchange, like one guy, do not do that. Huge boob kill, that's super degrading. Deal with it.
And the girl's not just like a plastic seed that you're going to sanitize for the next person. Yeah. Cool, awesome. I love that. Thank you so much, Alex. That was great. Guys, everyone want to go see his stuff. I'm going to have his Instagram and some social media links down below here in the YouTube video. And also go follow my bonus ones. I'm talking more about these threesome topics, etc. And you should just subscribe and like as well, because it's just a season. So thanks so much for watching, everyone, and have a great day.